Every weakness you have is a part of you that has not been in service to, but rather in suppression of spirit. Okay? And the only way to change it is overcoming. You're overcoming a lower inclination. Lower inclinations are those tendencies and those choices that keep us on the weakness wheel. They keep us small. They keep us manageable. They keep us managed by external circumstances and keep us entirely at the mercy of our undisciplined will. So you'll see that your weaknesses can be immediately turned into strengths when you catch them undermining you, when you catch them taking you out of your being, your spirit self, and into your fear-filled, dysfunctional archetypes, fantasies, dysfunctional emotions. For example, say one of your weaknesses is that you are easily coerced, easily bullied, easily influenced. Well, then you take your mind back because you connect it with Supreme Spirit. You take your emotions back because they're connected with Supreme Spirit, and you'll no longer be so easily coerced and bullied and influenced, and you'll get stronger and stronger against that. But you identify, be courageous enough to identify that you are that way. If you're passive-aggressive, well, why are you passive-aggressive? It's because you don't have real confidence, because you don't really trust your voice. So you're going to try to act out that in a dysfunctional way, that sense of feeling overpowered, not really being able to be direct. That's what passive-aggressive is. It's not being directly aggressive, but let's not be dysfunctionally aggressive, period. Let's be direct, because we know what's true and we know what we are. But if we're out of touch with what we are, then we're going to be dysfunctional in every way, aggressively, dysfunctionally, easily coerced, all these things. If your weakness is being selfish, that simply means that you're caught up in inward looking. You're looking too much into your false self, and you're serving that false self instead of looking inward and seeing the fire of life and recognizing that will be best served. That fire will shine and burn brighter and brighter and brighter and be warmer and a greater light that isn't needing to be validated like people who are selfish as opposed to centered in self, centered because they know their strength, they know their connection, they know their integrity with the source of life. Even if they've only caught on to a little bit of it, maybe they are centered because they do a lot of meditation, don't have a lot of programming. They might not understand the return to Supreme Spirit, but they've got something that keeps them centered in self, as opposed to being selfish, which is, again, caught up in the false self. Maybe your weakness is you're overly sensitive to criticism. Maybe you're easily offended. Well, that's because you're judging yourself by the world's ideologies and the world's perspective on things. So if that's a weakness, you turn it around, because you're no longer going to be on the receiving end of the world's judgment. You are at least susceptible to feeling offended or sensitive to it. You'll become desensitized to something that is not going to serve you. Why should you be sensitive to something that is completely antithetical to your being? It's not applicable. It doesn't matter. If you have a weakness for maybe, let's say, being greedy, well, that's just because you're caught up in that false paradigm that there's not enough, because there's never going to be enough in the world's way of doing things. If you have a seed of greed, it will always become a tree of greed. And so only by understanding why that paradigm of needing all that external stuff is wrong, or life deteriorating, let's say. Maybe your weakness is that you're just really pessimistic and down, and you don't feel hopeful about life. Well, then you see that you're pessimistic and down because you've been run down by the world's way of seeing things and what it's plugged into you, and it has a gravitational pull. So how can one not be fairly pessimistic with a gravitational pull anchoring all their thoughts and feelings? So once you remove that gravitational pull, that grave pull, you will have a levitational force, and that will be optimistic. It has every reason to be. It's Supreme Spirit. It's the force of life. It's that which animates life. How could it be anything but optimistic? All of these weaknesses can be transformed into strengths in the flash of an epiphany, of realizing, oh, I see. I'm this way because my castle was filled with a whole bunch of junk when I was, from conception to 7. And then my foundation didn't fill me with true knowledge and true light of life. I got a bunch of junk, and I got to take it out. That's all it is. It's just taking it out. It takes effort. It definitely takes effort. It's one of the most important things we can use as a tool to transform not only our reality, but to help us really feel ourselves into it, sinking up with Supreme Spirit.